Notre Dame is a playoff team, but they don't control their own fate. So let's start with this game first and foremost. They've now won 8 in a row. Okay, you had the 0-2 start, both losses by a combined 4 points. Well, since those 2 losses, the win streak that began on September 20th, they have outscored their opponents by 205 points. That trails only Indiana with the margin of victory that we've seen from the Irish on this 8-0 run. Jeremiah Love was outrageous. And what I loved most about this game and watching it back, I was really curious if Pitt, who came into the game as one of the top run defenses in the country, I thought Pitt would actually kind of be pretty good between the tackles defensively. I thought they would make some plays in the backfield defensively. I thought they could create some problems for the Notre Dame rushing attack because they are aggressive, they do blitz, they do move, they make life difficult. Well, it didn't matter because if you look at the performance from Jeremiah Love and this rushing attack, they went for 122 on runs between the tackles. So just between the tackles to go for 122. Now, that's the most that the Panthers have allowed all season long. If you look at CJ Carr, it was fine. It was some really, really high highs and a couple of plays where it wasn't great. He also, I thought, showed some maturity, taking advantage of some free plays. You get Pitt, who's an aggressive group, to kind of jump. Now, all of a sudden, you got free opportunities to take some shots. They were able to do that. He was 3 for 3 for 88 yards and a touchdown on throws that traveled more than 15 yards. And like I said, 2 of those completions on those free plays that I just referenced. It was really more in this game, though, as much as I was impressed with the run game and Jeremiah Love and the way they controlled the line of scrimmage at times. It was more about how the defense continued to just apply pressure. It felt like Mason Heinchel was running for his life the entire game. They pressured him on nearly half of his dropbacks. On those pressures, Heinchel went just 3 of 12 and was sacked 4 times. So it was all about the pressures. It was all about the defensive line. It was all about this invigorated pass rush that early on was a bit of a work in progress, but now you're starting to see some fruition, some of the fruits of your labor with what you've tried to emphasize in the last 7 or 8 games. This was a must-win situation. They had to have it, and it had to be convincing. They just completely bullied the Panthers from start to finish. But here's where things get very tricky, because if you look at Notre Dame, it'll be very interesting to see where the College Football Playoff Committee has them on Tuesday's rankings. Because right now is about as high as they can probably go on their own accord. They are kind of dependent on what happens right in front of them. And the big key for the Irish is not so much that they're going to be in the field. I feel very confident that Notre Dame at 10-2 will be in the college football playoff field. But the goal for the Irish, like we've talked about from the beginning, the goal for them is to get a home playoff game, to get another game in South Bend there in the middle of December and make whoever they're playing travel to cold weather in a hostile setting. Well, we need to know where they're going to be this week, because a game against a 3-7 Syracuse team and then finishing up against a 3-7 Stanford team is not going to help your strength of schedule. If anything, it's going to significantly hurt your strength of schedule. So they're going back, but they're very much at the mercy of what happens right in front of them. What happens between USC and Oregon? If I'm Notre Dame, I'm going to root very hard for the USC Trojans this week. Even though it's a rival, USC beating Oregon and getting them out of the way would really strengthen the possibility of me getting a home playoff game. I also need the Auburn Tigers to knock off the Alabama Crimson Tide, because that gets one more team out of the way. I would love it if Oklahoma were to potentially lose to a Missouri or to an LSU. That's what you need. If you're an Irish fan and you're looking for hope, you need a little bit of chaos, because a lot of the teams that are sitting right in front of you have stronger finishes to the season. So they're likely in victory only going to strengthen their position sitting right in front of you. So you need an upset or two. It does complicate things just a little bit. But here's the good news for Notre Dame. Texas lost. So you now no longer have to worry about the Longhorns possibly being in the mix, because that would have been another team that could potentially jump right in front of you had they been victorious on the road in Athens. They're in a great spot, but it will be fascinating on Tuesday to see exactly where they are going to be, because that's probably going to be where they are from this point going forward. One more final thing on Notre Dame, and we'll talk about this in just a little bit. There needs to be a lot of attention paid to Jeremiah Love's Heisman Trophy campaign. I don't know if he's going to have the platform. I don't know if he's going to have the opportunities down the stretch. And I don't know if the numbers will have him in a position to possibly get to New York. Because if you look at guys that have won the Heisman Trophy or have been in the Heisman Trophy mix at the running back spot, you got to go for like 2,000 yards. And he's not going to get there, barring something completely unforeseen. But if we're really talking about the most outstanding player in college football, he deserves a really good, long, hard look, because I think he is absolutely in that conversation.